to the current economic climate. So the question is, so have you seen, Matt, e-commerce slowing down recently, especially with the lack of disposable income and the overall kind of inflation that is happening around the world today?
Yeah, I think, it's sort of, I suppose over the last 3 years, we've lived in a very asymmetric world. We've dealt with extreme challenges in COVID lockdowns. And by the way, that hasn't completely finished yet in parts of the world. Our China business has been very challenged even into this year. And that's driven, a huge wave of growth in digital commerce. What we're seeing now actually isn't necessarily a slowdown of digital commerce, but a change in behaviors. So we are seeing people use quick commerce as a way to reduce their own costs, because they reduce food waste. So for many consumers, shopping more often, but through a digital channel, it is a more cost-efficient way than doing a big shop and seeing waste. I was with our Turkish team the other day, and they were saying that the hyperinflationary environment that they operate in actually has meant that some consumers have moved from doing a big family weekly shop as was often traditional, into much more regular online grocery shopping, smaller orders, faster delivery, and they're actually making economic choices around that. So I think it's too black and white to say the world of digital commerce is slowing down, because digital commerce is so fast evolving, and the context is so different in different markets. But the real challenge is how fast the digital commerce companies and branded players like ourselves adapt to those signals. And I think the people who win are the ones who can adapt quickest.
Thanks for that, Matt. I think that's super insightful. I think we always talk about, yes, the economic climate, there's going to be an e-commerce slowdown, but we've never really seen it in that perspective. So that's super insightful. So thanks for that. Okay, so the next question here is more about the delivery market. And Matt, so from your experience and from what you've seen, so how is the delivery market developing differently from ice cream around the world? And what are some of the key similarities or differences you're seeing?
Yeah, I think the similarity is that even in the most developed markets for delivery, we're just at the beginning of that journey. If you think about the first players of delivery, they're not even 10 years old yet. Many of them are just breaking into multiple markets. So the kind of similarities, there's huge headroom for growth. I'm a huge believer, not just from the data we're seeing, but also from the conversations we're having with the leaders of those businesses, that the future growth of delivery is still exponential. What are the differences we're seeing? Well, they tend to be around the cultural norms and the occasions where ice cream is really relevant. It's sort of one data point in a sea of data, but during Eurovision in Sweden, we did a meal deal with Pizza Hut, and 45% of people ordered a Ben & Jerry's with their Pizza Hut. So, what you find is those cultural differences, but also how you package up, be it meal deals or grocery deals, is one of the bigger drivers for us of what happens in delivery than looking for a sort of consistent business model.
Got it. Thanks, Matt. So moving on to the next question also, I think you mentioned this a couple of times in your responses already about sustainability. So we talked a bit about packaging earlier on. So how are you tackling the sustainability challenge that's inherent in ice cream delivery?
Yeah, so we see this challenge at a sort of macro and a micro level. At a macro level, we're doing a lot of work on sustainability in ice cream, particularly around greenhouse gas emissions, plastic, and energy usage. When it comes specifically to ice cream delivery, then there's two or three big themes. One is how much of those deliveries can be done by bicycle or by electric bicycles, powered by renewable energy, versus by cars and trucks and vans. So there is an argument. It might be, it's not proven, but there is an argument that actually a bicycle delivery is much more sustainable than a car trip to a supermarket. And then we're doing a lot of work on the temperature of our cabinets all the way through the cold chain. You might have seen that we announced trials in Indonesia and Germany on warming up the consumer-facing cold chain to -12. I think a lot of work to do there, but that would take about 30% of greenhouse gas out of the freezer fleet. And finally, on packaging and how we make it reusable and if not reusable, then properly recyclable.
Yeah, and it's great to see that. I think a leading company like Unilever is really taking the initiative to incorporate all these sustainability initiatives and efforts, specifically to ice cream. So that's very nice to hear.